Today's episode is brought to you by KingsRowTimes.com, the front page for all things Overwatch, bringing all news, community highlights, fan art, and videos to one page. Check them out in the description below.
It's high noon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I am your host, The Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. I'm just realizing I thought I was hyped about the playoff scenarios for this stage, and then we just went over them and figured them out a little bit, and now I'm like exponentially more hyped than I was going into this.
Yes.
So I am ready for today's show.
After looking up some of the scenarios, they got dramatically better.
Dramatically is an understatement, also a made-up statement. But it is, I mean, there's even, and just to tease it, there is a super tie scenario.
Possible super tie.
Yeah, in this playoff bracket where the tiebreakers don't cover it and an extra match would need to be played. So you guys will have to stick in a little bit with us until we get to the point of talking about the playoff scenarios. So, little teaser for you.
Yes, we will be talking about that in just a little bit, but let's talk about some of the stuff that the show did last week. We got a new High Noon Podcast Top 10 Plays of the Week.
A little hiccup there with those. Our apologies for that if you've been really liking them, but they should be back. They should be weekly. And I'm deciding the order again, so they should be phenomenal.
They should be properly ordered for sure, and not just nothing. It's just footage of Pine. It's just raw Pine footage.
To be fair, that's a little bit what this week's on.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. Pine's good. Surprise, surprise. Pine is really good. We had that. Around the Payload took a week off last week, but we are, we're at least planning to go tomorrow. Literally right before we recorded, we had a little bit of a hiccup with some of the guests, but I'm sure I'll be able to find some folks for tomorrow's episode.
I don't know if we said this or not, but we're really very likely going to a bi-weekly format with Around the Payload here on out.
Yeah, it is. Nothing is confirmed one way or the other, but don't be surprised if it goes bi-weekly. Just for scheduling purposes. Yeah. We will see, and hopefully I'm sure we'll be able to get some folks on for tomorrow. No problem. But we also had another episode of Blackwatch Report, which is getting very exciting as Contenders playoffs are continuing and getting through, and Contenders is building and building and building. So that's a good one. And then, of course, another episode of Foul Play for all of you fantasy enthusiasts. How did the episode go? I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it. How was it yesterday, Death?
It was pretty good. Yeah, it was nice to get A. Smith back. He was out last week, so it was just me and him this time around. So if Blevins is your third favorite host of the flagship show, then it's the perfect Foul episode.
Oh, the third favorite host is definitely the Coin, even though he rarely makes an appearance on the show.
No, that's everybody's second favorite.
Well, not for Foul Play, but not for Foul Play.
Oh, okay, that's true.
But yeah, so that we also, of course, had an episode of Foul Play, and then for those of you who missed it, I'm so sorry, but it's not happening again for quite some time. We had a 12-hour stream, and boy, was I exhausted after that. And then game night, which will certainly be happening again.
Yes.
Because game night was awesome. This is the first time I got to go to game night. And man, it's fun. And I don't know why you said that Bad Widows Only custom game was going to be no fun, because that was the most fun I've had playing in quite some time.
I didn't say it was going to be no fun. I said you were going to regret coming into my lobby and advertising it because of who went into your lobby.
Yeah, we did get dominated. Big Brother broke the cardinal rule of Bad Widows Only, which is you have to be a Bad Widow to play. It's like we upped the limit to 50 kills, and he had 50, and I think me and Phoenix had like 4 and 5 kills each. Like it was bad. But man, was that fun. It may have been because I was so loopy from that was in hour, like, I don't know, 9 or 10 of the stream. So I was feeling it a little bit. But my favorite part, actually, and I won't talk too much about the 12-hour stream, but my favorite part about it was actually we did a little bit of an impromptu like viewing party of Overwatch League. Like, everyone, like a ton of people jumped into the Discord voice channel. And at first it was just me and Death, and then Thorn Rain, aka Big Kef,
Big Kef in the house,
aka Big Kef, came in, and then people just started to trickle in. It was funny because no one like said, "Hey, I'm here." It was just like we'd say something, and then some other voice would comment, and I'm like, "Oh, hi, other person." And what was really cool is, like, there's people all around the world in there. Like, literally, like, we had Phoenix from Australia. So that's, like, the opposite of the world, right? That's, like, literally.
Fair few Europeans were in there
Europeans.
as well.
It was just crazy and awesome to be in there and to talk with everyone. So,
and game night went until 4 a.m. again. So if you are ever wondering, if you can make the game night, it doesn't really, I don't think it matters, given that we start right after Overwatch League matches end. So, like, evening East Coast, like, we go until the sun's about to come up. Like, it is almost, it was like 8-9 hours. I worked a full work day playing Overwatch in those lobbies. It was a whole lot of fun. A wide variety of skill gaps too, skill ranges. We do our best when picking the teams. Everybody kind of picks the team. Some people like to stack a super team and, or what have you, but I think a lot of people tend to try to balance them out pretty well. So don't worry about what SR you are. And if you were there, for what it's worth, Yankee found a team and I show up. So, that'll help too. But
yeah. And then
a lot of fun.
I know we ended up having 2 lobbies going. So that was nice. So there's over 24 people, which is great. And then after a while, we just started doing some, like, impromptu casts of the game, which was fun. I gained so much more respect for Hex and ZP back in the old days, who are commentating and controlling the cameras. I just don't. I don't know how you did it, guys. I just really don't.
When I was doing it, I basically just gave up on good camera work and just tried to actually do the commentary.
I was just trying to do the camera for me. Like, I didn't care what people, like, I mean, I was on the stream, so my camera mattered the most. I just wanted to be able to see something. I think
I did a lot of third person because I couldn't handle it.
I did almost all third person, except when Big Brother was popping off, in which case I knew to kind of follow him. But that was super fun. Keep an ear out and an eye on the Twitter for when the next game night's going to be, probably sometime in the next few weeks.
About once a month, I'd say. That's kind of the usual game night pacing. Hopefully we can fall into a good rhythm with that. It might be a little less frequently than that.
Also,
there's a lot of game nights too. So if you really like them, Owl Recap does that, or Cavalry does them. Omnic Lab does them. Like, they just about all the big podcasts do them. Even some of the smaller ones. And if you want to find them, I usually show up to a good portion of them because I'm on teams with all those guys now, everything like that. So, let us know in Discord. We'll put you in contact with whoever you need. And I've even been debating doing a Google Calendar where we can all sign up so we don't have to, like, ask and wonder, are we going to overlap and, you know what I mean, double book a day. We'll try to figure out something. But just ask in Discord for now. We'll let you know in the next one.
But let's move on and talk about what we did last week. Specifically, anything else fun or exciting for you, Death?
NFL draft was this week, so that was really good.
I saw that.
I didn't get the quarterback I wanted for my Bills, but I didn't really. I mean, Overwatch League had me pretty busy. I don't know if anybody really can believe that or not. But so I didn't do a ton of research, so I'm willing to just defer to the GM who I like so far and say, okay, like, I'll trust you. But it was kind of the one where I'm like, just don't take Josh Allen, and I think I'm okay. And then, of course, it was the one that came up. A couple other really, really good picks. Overall, it was a good weekend for my Bills, I think, and I'm excited for that.
And you'll be surprised to know that I know that the Buffalo Sabres have the #1 overall pick this year for NHL draft.
I already know who they're taking, so
I have no idea. I couldn't name you one player at all. just in general.
It's the only one I can name. I mean, having the first pick means everybody knows who you're going to take going in for the most part in hockey, I think.
Right.
But yeah. So
actually, I heard the name. They were talking, they were talking about something. A defenseman or something, I think, right?
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, so that's kind of cool. The one really cool thing was the Streamer Showdown happened. That was with XQC Mendo and Aimbot Calvin. And like I mentioned before, I did some writing for the show, so some of the jokes and the clues and stuff were from me, and it was just like, it was really fun because those guys just like, it's really funny watching them just like not get the clues. And like it was funny. There were some times where I was burst out laughing because like it got to the point where they were like trolling each other and like trying to get each other to mess up, and like that was fun. So if you guys didn't see that, you can check out, I believe the video is on, I mean, if you go to the Streamer Showdown Twitch, or the Streamer Showdown Twitter, it's definitely on there. I think it was on XQC's channel. But
and in a similar vein, and I want to take a moment to congratulate our good podcasting friends, Omnic Lab. They had their 100 episode celebration very recently.
Yes.
So big shout outs to them. Big congratulations to Not Rob and I Play Games over there. They actually had me on for their game show that they did to kind of celebrate it. And I did not embarrass myself or the show. I got all the questions right. I somehow literally accidentally guessed the correct home city for Moira, even, which like the lore questions were the ones where I'm like, yeah, I'm probably just going to get those wrong. But managed to pull through on that. So
just got to think about Guinness, man.
Thanks to those guys for including me, and big congratulations again to you guys. Really.
Yeah, number 100 is always a big one to hit, and hopefully we'll see you guys come around for number 200.
Yes.
Can't wait for it. But let's move on and talk about this one is going to be it's going to both be a very good one and also horrifically tragic to me.
Oh, let's break it.
That's just the wrong button to press.
Overwatch today, meme of the week.
Okay, not going to break it down. We are going to do the meme of the week, and I'll just address both of the meme of the week and the honorable mention, and then we'll go in depth about both of them. Well, actually, we'll talk about the first one. The meme of the week this week is just the reaction that the community has had to the tactical crouch, aka teabagging, this week. And
Carpe did it too. I think it was 8-0 on the Shanghai Dynasty. If you're not familiar with, I did.
You did it.
Yep, I pulled it up.
You're the
Shanghai
Blitz.
Dragons. I am now the Blitz. The problem is that there's a matchup. Somebody plays against Shanghai and Seoul this week, so I was saying it on purpose on Foul Play yesterday because they had the Shanghai Dynasty matchups. I'm still the Blitz. Like I still get it, but that's why it was in my head. But yeah, so it just absolutely hilarious. The crowd booed him on the spot. Crowd, very pro Shanghai. That's part of the meme of the week. Also, just the Reddit reaction, the Twitter reactions. Like, guys, stop opposing the tactical crouch.
Right.
Just stop it. It's so good for the game. I can't even see straight. It's phenomenal. It makes it fun to watch. There's nothing wrong with it. If you want to like get mad about it, that's fine too. Like I don't want to tell you guys you shouldn't have an opinion about it or you shouldn't dislike players for doing it. That's all fine. Honestly, that's great. That's part of it. Right. But just it doesn't need to like get legislated out of the game by the by the league or anything like that. Like just ease up on that stuff. But if you want to like stop voting for Carpe for MVP because he was tactical, that's the reaction that it should get. Yeah, that is the correct response.
Boo him. Say you don't like him. Yeah, all those things.
That's phenomenal.
Tactical crouching, teabagging shouldn't be in the game. It's disrespectful.
Where does it say that you have to be respectful in game?
Yeah, I would if I thought like this is like the DP shoulder check situation to me. Like, if I thought it would give my team even the slightest of edges, like if I thought there was an outside chance that it would tilt the opponent or something, yeah, I'm doing it. I don't care.
Oh,
I'll I'll outright spear you like Goldberg style in the hallway if I have to. That's
okay.
This is all part of it.
I mean,
do our part to remind everybody that this is fun.
Committing actual acts of violence, probably not the best.
Okay,
the most defensible
thing.
Might
intervene there,
but yeah, trash talk. Yeah. Oh man, I was so like awful when playing basketball. Like anytime someone would throw the ball out of bounds or they'd kick it, like they'd have a bad pass, I'd go up to them and just like go right behind them and be like, nice pass. They get so mad and they start playing bad. When players play mad, they play terrible. And like, yeah, I want to do that. That is exactly the emotion I'm trying to elicit.
In gaming, we like to say "mad 'cause bad."
Yeah,
but "bad 'cause mad" is the actual more likely scenario,
exactly.
and you should definitely lean into that. But yeah, so it's totally fine to be upset about it and to not like Carpe because he did it. Personally, I didn't like gain respect for Carpe. I laughed, but I laughed more at the crowd reaction than anything. In my head, I'm like, why are you crouching Shanghai? They haven't like you've tactical crouched them more times than they've won a match. So I don't understand what you're doing here, Carpe. But at the same time, it's all in.
I mean, I feel like if he did it for if he did it just to vilify himself, then
awesome. And also, if he did it to spit in the face of the fans that were rooting against his team with significant win totals and playoff aspirations for the team that hasn't won yet.
Yeah, like when we were watching it, I was like, I don't think it is as much tactical crouching the Shanghai Dragons as it is tactical crouching the crowd, who is just who is way too in favor of the Shanghai Dragons here. Like they haven't won a single
Shanghai
thing.
Win for the sole reason that if they win against somebody that's not Houston, then their first win can't come against Houston. So great, like that's the extent of why I root for Shanghai. So yeah, I don't know. All in all, getting the reaction that Carpe got is enough reason for me. I don't know. I thought it was the whole thing.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was absolutely great, and I'll fight anyone who says otherwise. But our runner-up here, our honorable mention for meme of the week was from Taco, and this happened. This whole story. We'll talk more about the story in a second, but. We got word from NYXL that Bare Hands has parted ways with NYXL. So of course, like the second it happens, like I see it on my phone. I have all NYXL tweets just come right to my phone, so I see it, and I'm streaming. And I'm like, oh man, I don't even like. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to deal with this later. And like 3 random people came into my stream and were like, hey man, did you see what happened? And I'm like, yeah. And then Deathblow comes in and is like, hey, check Discord.
Relegated to random people.
No. Then Deathblow came in and says check Discord, and I'm like, I know. And I look and I see. I see Discord like blowing, our like secret like plat chat is blown up. There's like 100 messages in it, and then I see this meme, and it's just the this is fine dog in the burning house with an NYXL hat, and it just says this is fine. And I'm like, this is me.
It's even worn incorrectly in the meme because it still has the sticker on it like yours does.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, it's like literally looks exactly like that. But yeah, so that was Taco made that meme about my feelings, and it's pretty much true. It's pretty. I even have the coffee. I'm like, yep, this is fine.
But that'll bring us into the news here, talking about Bare Hands leaving NYXL, which sad for us. We've, Bare Hands is I think he might even still be in chat right now, or maybe not, because if he's anything like me, as soon as we started talking about him, he clicked off and he'll check back in 20 minutes. But he very well might still be here. He's been a fan of the show for a while. He's been on the show. We've interviewed him. Had a big part in Blevins choosing NYXL as his team. Just that connection and that that friendship with the GM there obviously made it an easy choice. Yeah, big part of why I give NYXL a hard time because I have to, because Blevins is insufferable. But I do really like them as well, and he's a big part of the reason why. So we did kind of ask him and talk to him a little bit. And Blevins, why don't you read the statement?
Yeah, so I got the statement from from him. He said, I'd like to thank NYXL, Sterling, and the Wilpons for the opportunity to help build a founding team in the Overwatch League. I'm very proud of the work that we did together, and I wish them the best moving forward. So yeah, I mean, you think about it, like NYXL was one of the teams that was, air quotes, known for the longest time. Like, with the exception, I mean, it was like soft confirm. Like, everyone knew, like, okay, Lunatic High is going to be the Seoul team, or is going to be the Korea team, or whatever. But LW Blue was like, oh yeah, they're going to be the New York team. Like, that was known for months and months and months. And that was, the machinations of Bare Hands, and a lot of the success was, I mean, honestly,
and it's not, I mean, it sounds like it, and we talk about it like it is. It's not a straight luxury watch Blue port over into Overwatch League. There's extra players, obviously.
Yeah, like this
There's
guy
some
named, I don't know, Jonak, who was just like a random, like literally a random from ladder. Like, who finds these people? Bare Hands does.
Bare Hands did. It did a phenomenal job with this team. And we said that the meme was accurate because this is fine. Like, to be fair, the Bare Hands' work for the most part for the 2018 season has been completed.
Right.
So the team this year is fine. I do worry, obviously, who are they going to hire to replace him? Is he going to be able to live up to this? Players are going to leave that team. You don't, do this well and win championships and not lose players in free agency, because some players like money and they'll take money instead of just staying with teams. So there's going to be turnover here. So I'm not worried about 2018 New York Excelsior. That work's been done. Bare Hands has his big paw print on that team. You can't take it off. I hope they still, if they do win it all, I hope you get your name on that trophy, Bare Hands, because you clearly deserve it.
He absolutely should.
But so I do worry a little bit about the future of NYXL. Now, obviously, there's going to be very, exceptional GMs that aren't in the league yet, so they have the chance to hire somebody new. There's no reason to panic or worry about it at the moment if you're an NYXL fan. But it does raise questions, and you've got to be sad to see him go, because he gave you this start. He gave you this team that's doing so well right now, and so much fun to root for if you're a fan of them. That even if you're not, I have a really good time rooting for. Like, New York's play is so clean. Jonak is just a treat to watch every time he's on the stage, and that's all due to Bare Hands. So round of applause for the work you did there. We're just clapping for everybody today. Can't wait to see where you go next, buddy. Really, really can't wait to see it. As long as Blevins doesn't choose them as his favorite team, I will root for you.
Yeah, and definitely keep an eye and an ear out for him, because I have an inkling that it might not be the last that we see of him. And definitely, like, if you guys are like, oh, well, maybe he didn't do this, and this, or like he just happened to have a good team, or blah, 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 go back and listen to our interview with him. One of the earlier High Noon Hot Seats. He explains exactly like the philosophy behind building the team. And this was literally the day after that the team was announced officially. So if you think that he just inherited a good team, or like the team just got good, like take a listen to that interview, and you'll see, like, I actually kind of want to go back and re-listen and see, like, holy crap, this is like Nostradamus level stuff. But definitely take
he more than most was a man with a plan, and he executed it flawlessly, and it is a big part of the reason why the team is so good. So salutations, Bare Hands. I don't know what the right word to say is. There's no words appropriate for seeing you step out of the scene, but I do hope it's temporary. Can't wait to see it.
I just hope we get to hang out at BlizzCon. But let's move on and talk about some other news we had. Oh, yes, we did move on to news, didn't we?
It's high news.
Yeah, I got the high news drop back. Boston Uprising partners with Gillette, like the razor company.
I'm sorry, what?
Here's the razors are awful, because having a razor implies that you shave, which is just actively incorrect to do. Yeah. So wrong.
As we pet our beards.
Yeah, so that's wrong. But it is. So all memes aside, it is nice to see a big non-endemic brand and another non-endemic brand investing in an Overwatch League team. And what's actually really kind of cool about Gillette is they partnered with, I believe it was Team Solo Mid, like a month or two ago. And they had some kind of cool, synergy where, like, if you bought stuff it was basically like if you bought stuff from the website, you would get like in-game currency for like either League of Legends or whatever game that TSM was doing. Maybe it was CS:GO or whatever. I don't know. Might be multiple things, but there was a synergy between Gillette and the TSM that was more than just like, we're gonna stick our logo on their jerseys. There was like actually some like value that could be added, like if you're going to buy the products or whatever, which is kind of cool. Like obviously, like it's still just an ad at the end of the day, but like if like we're not going to live in a world where there's no ads, or it's going like if we do live in that world, we're not going to have as nice of things as we do. So I'm fine having ads. I would like the ads to be better than just like the official olive juice of the Overwatch League. It's like, okay, well, I don't care about that. But if we have the official Razor of the Boston Uprising and also, you know, something cool like in game or that has to do with playing, that's a positive for me.
I stand by my boo.
For this one specifically, sure. I'm not buying Razors anytime soon, and I'm definitely not buying Boston Uprising themed stuff, especially if it's Razor soon. But if there was
everything you said is accurate, but yeah. I can't retract my boo. So.
Right. I don't blame you for booing. Boston is the enemy right now. But last piece of news here is Brigitte is live on ranked servers right now, and I haven't gotten to, I have played her, but not in ranked yet. Just played her in some quick match, and I played her a lot in game night, and I've played her in competitive. What's it called? Elimination.
66
that death match, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it's actually called. And I've liked her a lot, but it seems like the word on the internet today is that she's really, really good.
I believe that is accurate from everything I've seen. And I believe the reason her being in ranked right now is relevant is because it's before the start of stage 4. So I think it's all but a lock that we will see Brigitte for stage.
Yeah. Was it confirmed? I think it was just confirmed that she wasn't going to be in stage 3.
Correct. I don't think it was confirmed that she will be in 4. But their reasoning was because we don't want to introduce a character to Overwatch League that's not been introduced to competitive play in the game yet.
So we're going to get a couple of weeks of Brigitte play in ranked before we potentially see her in.
Yep, and it gives them plenty of time. That should put. I mean, I'm sure they'll be putting her into the what's it called? LAN client now.
Yeah.
I finally got there, or at least they can like disable it in the game. It might even already be there, but anyways, the players should start scrimming with it fairly soon once they start looking forward to stage 4. So really excited about that. From all accounts, it looks like it is going to be every bit as meta warping and changing as Papa Jeff really kind of sold it to be when they announced it. So.
The one thing I heard was that Junkrat is a lot better because of how he interacts with Brigitte. I don't remember exact. There's like some weird interaction with like her armor. I think what it is I know what it is. Okay. So Brigitte's ult gives passive armor in an AoE, right? Well, that armor, if it gets chunked down, if it gets chunked down, healers can't heal back up that passive armor, right? So any damage dealt there doesn't charge support ults, or doesn't charge the other support ult. And Brigitte is the one using that ult. Her ult is being used, so it's not charging her ult either. So Junkrat is very good at dealing damage, a lot of damage in an AoE way all at once. So his ability to do that is very good, and it doesn't charge up. He can do a lot of damage AoE to a lot of people, and it doesn't charge the support ults. Is basically what it means. Is when
all I heard was there's 2 reasons as an Outlaws fan to be excited.
Yeah. Yes, maybe a cool mat on Brigitte. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Brigitte may be the new number 1 Outlaws person. But let's move on here. We'll definitely have a lot more to talk about with Brigitte as she develops, of course. But let's move on.
We got a preview.
It's tournament talk.
Of course, we've got tournament talk. I'm going to quickly go over the results from last week, and then we will talk about the playoff scenarios. So on Wednesday, we had Boston Uprising 3-1 versus Shanghai Dragons, Houston 3-1 versus LA Valiant, Florida 3-1 versus Dallas Fuel. Thursday, we had LA Gladiators 3-2 the London Spitfire, NYXL 3-1 San Francisco Shock, and Seoul Dynasty 3-2 victory over the Philadelphia Fusion. On Friday, we had a Boston Uprising 4-0 win over the Dallas Fuel. LA Gladiators eke out a 3-2 victory over the Houston Outlaws. Los Angeles Valiant 3-1 over Florida Mayhem. And then on Saturday, we had London Spitfire 4-0 over San Francisco Shock, and YXL 4-0 over Seoul Dynasty, and Philadelphia Fusion just barely getting that 3-2 victory over the Shanghai Dragons. It was said a bunch of times on the cast, but if we were going to pick which of these matches weren't going to go to 4-0, we certainly weren't picking Philly versus Shanghai on that day. So it was, surprisingly enough, the first two matches were not hype at all. NYXL versus Seoul was just as much of a snooze fest as London versus Shock, and then the Shanghai Dragons versus Philadelphia Fusion match could not have been more exciting. You are muted.
Yeah, the Fusion really are kind of on shaky ground right now, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. It was a bit eye-opening. Coming off a week where we were talking about how bad Philly kind of reared its ugly head again.
Oh, bad Philly's back again.
We do too much singing on this show, Blevins.
Yeah.
But yeah, so really not the confidence-inspiring performance you wanted to see from them going into a week that is filled with playoff possibilities, but nonetheless, here we are. And these playoff scenarios are absolutely insane, Blevins. To start us off, Boston and New York are locked and loaded. They're in the playoffs.
They are in.
Cannot be dropped out. Now, currently, the LA Valiant and the Los Angeles Gladiators have a full match up on the rest of the. I think the Valiant are 2 up on 5th through 8th. But anyways, they control their destiny. If they 2-0, maps don't matter. Nothing else matters. Get 2 wins, make the playoffs, make this super, super boring.
Yeah.
But when we look at the Gladiators matchups, they play against the first place Boston Uprising, who have yet to lose in this stage. We'll be going over that matchup shortly. There's a lot of potential here, but it does all very much so hinge on the Gladiators. And yes, it is possible for the Valiant to lose out, even though I believe they're 2 maps up on the main group. And as far down as the London Spitfire are still alive in the playoff races. There was a really, really nice playoff calculator that was provided on Reddit by Strict Scrutiny. Big thank you for that. It was a lot of fun to play with. If you haven't seen it, let us know in Discord. We'll link it to you. I think the Monkey Prince linked it previously, so you can feel free to check that out. Whole lot of fun to play with this thing. So if you're curious about what can happen, you can plug in the results as the weekend goes on and keep live tabs on what the odds are. Awesome. I'm going to be doing that this weekend. It's going to be great. So we will link that to you guys, make it available, and Blevins, throw it in the show notes if you actually too. But I'll start things off here. Do you want to alternate the teams when we talk about the odds, or what do we want to do?
Why don't you take the first one at least? I'm going to copy this over.
All right. Well, that means I'm probably going to take the second one as well. Take Houston second.
Yeah.
So I believe, and now all our math is this isn't the only way they can get in. This is the most likely path to making it in. This is what we were able to determine with the calculator that we know for sure puts them in, assuming the calculator is correct. So the Philadelphia Fusion, by the narrowest of margins, I believe, are the most likely team not currently in control of their destiny to make it into the playoffs. It's by the narrowest of margins. They're basically exactly tied with Houston, and a lot of scenarios put them exactly tied with Houston leaving this. But they don't play against, well, we'll get into it. They need a loss from the Gladiators, okay? But if the Gladiators have a +1 map record in that loss, right? So they are in that 1-1 week, right? Then also Philly has a 7-1 map record in their 2-0 week. We are in a super tie scenario.
The super tie.
Now, these two teams don't play against each other, the Gladiators and the Fusion. They did not play against each other this stage, so there's no tiebreakers to lean on here for the stage
They go to
playoffs.
the super tie.
What that would mean is they would play an extra match against one another to determine who makes it in. So just a really, really hype scenario here. Again, that needs a Gladiators loss, a +1 map record for the Gladiators here, and then a 7-1 map record for the Philadelphia Fusion. I think that the Glads could also be -1 in map record, but then it would have to be like 6-1 for the 6-2, I should say, for Philly. There's a couple scenarios that put them in the tie that are based around map, but anyways, if they leave 2-0 in the week with the Gladiators going 1-1 and the maps are tied, we don't see any way to break that tie, so they're going to have to play it out to find out who gets in. Now the next team, there's anything better than that, obviously Philly makes it. There's no need for a tie. If it's anything worse than that, and Philly's not going to make it, and the Glads would get in even with their loss. Now the Houston Outlaws are in a very similar boat. Okay, they need a loss from the Gladiators, and they need to go 2-1 with a 7-1 map record this week, and they are in. There's some other scenarios here, like Gladiators could get stomped on maps if the Gladiators go 0-2 or something like that. Like there's a lot of other scenarios that get them in as well. But we kind of penciled out we didn't choose any cowards 3-0s or anything like that. We tried to predict every map down the line for these matchups, and then flipped as little as we needed to get these guys in, and that's how we got these numbers. So yeah, Houston needs a loss from the Gladiators and to go 2-0 with a good map record here, and they can be in. Blevins, why don't you take the next one?
Yeah, so Seoul technically has the ability to control their own destiny. If they 8-0, so 4-0 both of their matches, then they're in. Or if we see 2 wins from Seoul, but not necessarily an 8-0, and the Gladiators go 0-2. So
I think the 8-0 requires a loss from the Gladiators. We had that penciled in, so there's a loss required.
I think most of this is assuming that Gladiators is going to go 1-1 this week. So which would make sense. They're playing against Florida, which they're definitely favored, and then they're playing against Boston, which we're going to talk about is close. But I mean, if Gladiators goes 2-0 this week, then a lot of these are for naught. A lot of this conversation is for naught anyway. So if we assume a 1-1 from the Gladiators, then Seoul can get in with an 8-0 record, or if Gladiators loses an upset matchup to Florida, then Seoul does not need an 8-0.
Yeah, so an 0-2 from the Gladiators, then any combination of map record, as long as Seoul wins 2 matches, like they would then control their own destiny if the Gladiators lost twice.
Right. So if Florida, and we talked about this in the pre-show, if Florida beats Gladiators on day 1, boy, is this playoff race just so much more exciting, because it opens up so much, including the San Francisco Shock, who they definitely need to 2-0, and then they need an 0-2 from Philly, Houston, and the Gladiators. So a lot needs to happen for San Francisco to get in.
Not as much as it does for London, though, Blevins, because for London to get in, they need the exact same scenario. They need to go 2-0. They need Philly, Houston, and the Gladiators to all go 0-2 on the week, and they need help on maps. Like they need the right teams to lose, like whoever they're tied with. I'm assuming it's like the Gladiators or whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, it's got to be
they would be the Shock, right?
As well.
There would also be some help. No, because they're so far back. If they go 2-0 and Houston goes 0-2, then they're tied in win-loss record. So then they're in like this huge dogfight of a tiebreaker scenario. London and San Francisco are out, guys. Let's be real. But it is mathematically possible. So
I feel like every time we've said that there was one team that was like completely out, there was still like up until very close to the end, there was still a chance that they could get in.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's happened too, like where they kind of jump up a little bit. Like randomly, they're just like 40% to make it in the middle of the week, and then it's like, oh, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, LA Valiant versus Philly Fusion is the last match of the week, or the regular stage match of the week. So that is going to have huge implications potentially.
And Seoul Houston's right before it.
Right. So it's like,
so depending on how things
you're
go,
watching this whole week.
You could be watching Saturday as a couple winning ends. It could end, and then we need to go to another tiebreaker super tie match to decide who gets in Philly. Like,
God, I want it to happen so bad.
I know. Even though it would have to mean Houston doesn't make it, part of me still can.
Yeah, for the sake of the super tie, you gotta.
If Houston's not going to make it, that's the only acceptable scenario is super tie.
Super tie.
I'll say that. Anything else, I'm upset at.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So as you can tell, the playoff odds are very convoluted, and we've probably done a pretty poor job of representing what the actual odds are. But at the same time, we've given you a pretty solid idea. This was the easiest path for us that we could find to get these teams into the playoffs.
If we figured it out, it's probably pretty easy.
Yeah. But there's a lot of other goofy scenarios that would get these teams in. So don't think these are the only way. But like we said, we believe they are the most likely scenarios.
Yeah. And I'm sure that the Blizzard mathematicians are going to have a little graphic made up.
Yeah. Watchpoint will come out tomorrow and just bury us with numbers. But anyways,
it's okay. We hit the presses. We hit press first.
Yes, we did.
we printed first, but let's move right along and
let's break it. Yeah!
we'll break it down this week. Well, we're going to talk about our picks here. Of course, maybe some of this is I'll say this. At least I made my picks before doing the playoff calculation. So I
did as well.
Okay, we both made our picks before doing the playoff calculation, so we weren't blinded by wanting a super tie. So these are going to be our unbiased picks here. Well, unbiased by playoffs. They're of course still biased by all the things that they're normally biased by.
Yeah,
one little piece of news here that I thought was interesting is that in the hotly contested High Noon podcast, High Noon Pick'em contest. Oh, sorry. Thrawn has fallen to second place. The once mighty and unthinkably ahead Thrawn is now in second place, and we have Enkidu as the new number 1, and of course I'm still in number 3. So man, Thrawn fell, and Enkidu jumped up. It was for a while there was like a couple of weeks where like it was me and Thrawn up at the top, and then like multiple, like almost 1,000 points between me and third place. And now it's
more importantly though, because I don't know Thon, so I still like Thon. I'm just glad you have fallen. I'm just glad you're still
I haven't fallen.
Your Outlaws
I've
hatred
been at 3 for a while.
Your Outlaws hatred and denying has caught up with you, and you are no longer in first place, and that's all I need.
I don't think I've been in first place ever, actually.
I thought you were at one point, but anyways,
maybe for a week. I've been in second place for a long time, and third place for even longer. And then I fell really far when I was picking Shanghai and Florida way too much, and then I came right back. But let's move on and talk about Philadelphia Fusion versus the Dallas Fuel here. We both got the Cowards 3-0 for Philly because old bad Philly's back again. But we never know. They can definitely. I'm going to be riding that for a while. And 100% of the fans are in favor of Philly. I don't know if I disagree. I don't know if I disagree with them there. Yeah, I mean, Effect is probably back. I don't think we've gotten a word one way or the other. Not back.
He's not back until the start of the next stage.
Yeah, I'll take bad Philly over Dallas in this one. Not too much more to talk about here. Next up, we've got quite possibly the most underrated and could possibly be the most hyped match of the week. Florida Mayhem versus LA Gladiators. Again, you'll be able to tell that we made our picks before doing the playoff calculations because we both got Gladiators winning 3-0, even though I want nothing to do with that being the case. I am rooting heavily for Florida Mayhem here to win and just open up the playoff vault. And then 97% of fans are in favor of Gladiators. I mean, is there a realistic chance that Florida can
yeah, have you seen Saya play lately? Because that dude is a beast.
Yeah.
I've been tooting his horn since before he was in the Overwatch League when we did our free agency draft. Yeah. The guy is a very, very talented hit scan player. His Widowmaker appears to be right up on par and able to contest. I'm not going to say he's the best Widowmaker in Overwatch League because I'm not crazy, Reddit, okay? But he's able to compete with absolutely anybody in this league on that particular hero, which is very, very important in this metagame right now. Florida is definitely on the rise, more so like we say that about Shanghai, and you see it in Shanghai. We're not lying when we say it about Shanghai, but Florida's closer. They've already got a couple wins under their belt. There is definitely some chance here. The problem here is, and I've said this, I think, in Foul Play yesterday, I don't know that I've ever seen two teams step up and play out of their minds like better than they normally do or better than you expected them to, than both Houston and the LA Gladiators did in their match last week. It was absolutely incredible to watch that match. If you missed it, go back and just imagine how much happier I'd be if the result was flipped. But honestly, like no hard feelings about that one for me, even though Giose loves to give me a hard time when the Gladiators do win or when that match is coming up. I'm a big fan of both teams. Obviously Houston's my number one, but the Gladiators are my number two. So there's a little bit of bittersweetness to it there. Both of the teams are just playing phenomenally right now. The Gladiators, I think, are definitely a stage playoff team. The Mayhem might be on the rise, but I don't think they're there. So the fans are probably about right in their 97%. Except for that 97% is probably always too high, unless Shanghai is involved. But
or Dallas,
or Dallas without effect.
Right?
Dallas is probably accurate as well. But yeah, so this one, it has serious upset potential, and also just the playoff implications if it happens makes you want to see the possibility in it. But yeah, the Gladiators are just hot right now. I don't even know who knows which one of their DPS is going to pop off, because it was Asher this week, Blevins. We know it was Hydration last week. It was Surefour the week before, messing up my fantasy week. It was, they're just playing really well right now. They clearly have a plan for how they want to use their DPS. And thank you for stopping playing Silk Thread. I love Silk Thread. He's a very good player. I know it sounded like I was being very hard on him and I didn't like him. It's a team synergy thing. It's about, is Hydration better on the hero than Silk Thread? Not is Silk Thread good enough to be in Overwatch League?
Right.
And they finally sat him down. They're rolling out what works, and it's working. Who knew? Who would have thought that was a thing, Blevins?
Right. Well, I mean, I think they got a little bit of a taste of victory, and they're like, okay, no more experiments. We're going for the W here.
Right.
I mean, when you get so close to a stage playoff, you're going to want to go for it for sure.
Yeah.
I would say 97% is high for Gladiators. This is probably still not a strategic flip, but 97% is very high for Gladiators on this one. But let's move on. We've got Houston Outlaws versus San Francisco Shock. My anti-Houston leanings are not bleeding through here. We've both got the Cowards 3-0 for Houston. 71% of the fans are picking Houston here.
Linkser's popping off right now. I don't really know what else to say other than that. And Architect's been good, and he's shown to be a competent Widowmaker, which is a big step up from, thinking of him as a projectile player only as he entered the league. So that's been great to see. And listen, San Francisco won this last stage. Okay. So it wasn't too long ago that San Francisco pulled out the upset win here and took down Houston. So you have to watch it, but I do think 71% is probably a little low. Like I said, Houston is playing probably as well as they were playing in stage one when they were a dominant team. The difference here is that the meta suits them a little bit less than Junkrat Widow as the primary meta game, so they're not maybe performing quite as well, but I'd argue they're even about tied, because I do think they're playing probably their best Overwatch right now. The Tracer play is really coming together for Houston. We're starting to see it. Both Jake and Linkser are making big plays. Linkser's Genji's been stepping up. I think that really helps to have your DPS duo partner being very, very good, or playing adequately at least. So definitely helps him stand out a little bit more on the Genji hero. But all in all, I think Houston's pretty close to as close to a shoo-in as you can be in this matchup, considering they just lost it. I wouldn't call this a flip of the week. I think 29% of fans are a little too high to be picking San, because they look lost. They don't know if they want to play Dante. They don't know if they want to play Sinatra. They got to figure it out, and they need to do it before next stage starts if they want to have any chance at any relevancy in season one.
Yeah, Houston looks about as good as they did in previous stages when they contested with NYXL and beat London Spitfire, and both NYXL and London crushed Shock. It just wasn't even remotely close, which obviously like not even a transitive property like argument, just like it just doesn't seem like Shock has the ability to compete with those like top tier teams, and Houston is looking a lot closer to a top tier team this stage than
yeah. And when San Fran won, it was at Houston's absolute low point in the season. So I don't think it's anything I would expect to repeat, but obviously there's clearly a shot at it, a serious chance that it could happen.
Yep. Moving on Thursday, we've got San Francisco Shock versus Florida Mayhem. We both got Florida here 3-0. 83% of the fans have San Francisco, and boy, oh boy, is this a flip of the week if I've ever seen one. Holy crap. I think like 70% for Florida. I'd be like, I don't know if that's enough. Listen, yeah, not only is it too high, it's also wrong. I don't think we've seen it be like this yet.
I don't think I've ever disagreed with a fan percentage as much as this one. It's definitely rough here to see. I don't even know necessarily how to explain this one other than like, I mean, Architect's going to lose the Widow battle. So keep that in mind. Like, I don't see him being able to compete with Saya player. Architect can hold his own and like not get completely dominated by the top Widows in the league maybe, but he's still going to like lose decidedly against them. And Saya player is right up there with, and able to contest and possibly win on any given day, the Widow battles against anybody in the league. And I don't see that from the San Francisco Shock. Again, they've got back-to-back matches here, right? Like they're closing Wednesday, they're opening Thursday. That's a down for them.
Yeah.
And this is the matchup they're more likely to prepare less for as well, because Houston is the better team than Florida. There's a lot stacked up against San Francisco here, and they just didn't look good to me last week. Like I don't know why. This is why I basically said, like, just trade Dante. Part of it was because I wanted him in Houston, but part of it was also because, like, I don't think it's right to be splitting Tracer time like this between Sinatra and Dante.
Right.
Sinatra didn't even play much this week, and if it was illness-based, fine, but you need the consistency there. I want to see that from them. That was honestly my favorite thing about them before, is they had all the DPS options, right? But they had their best lineup, they ran it out there, and they did I want to see them try that now that they have their best talent here.
Right.
Because it feels like we're being cheated of the chance to see them at their best right now. And we're just seeing them like, subbing in it, not randomly, but to ill effect. It's not working right now to me to see them subbing as much as they are. And I'd like to see just Sinatra and Architect run out there for an entire week, start after this week. But, once you do, get some consistency for next stage or something. I don't know, trust Brad, because his initial stance of here's our best six, this is what we're playing, I think was closer to right than what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I just like San Francisco. I mean, they did have a really tough week this week, but they just did not look good. They didn't look, and like we've seen matches where like, a team plays against NYXL or against London or another top tier team, and they look fine. They look good. They look out. They got outperformed, but it was close. Maybe like we've seen Houston versus NYXL the 4-0 week. I think it was in stage 2, right? Like that was a close 4-0, but that was not what happened with San Francisco, and has not been happening with San Francisco. They just don't look like they can handle these top tier teams, and like.
They got beat up last week by London 4-0. They're a better team than London this stage. Even with that loss, they're still ahead of them in the stage standings right now. That to me speaks volumes. That they, it's okay to lose to London there because London's a better team. I mean, let's face it. I think London's a better team. But this stage with the current problems with Ureg in there, it was an opportunity for San Francisco.
That would have been a huge
to
win
get that win, or at least compete, and they didn't do that. They completely punted. So it was tough to see.
Yeah, and obviously Florida is not that caliber of team, but they are getting better and better, and they don't have playoff hopes this stage, but like they still every game they play they have something to prove. I just can't see 83% in favor of San Francisco. If you have San Francisco, like this is a flip, an easy flip here. Moving on, we've got Boston Uprising versus LA Valiant. We've both got the Cowards 3-0 here for Boston, and 95% of the fans are in favor of Boston. Again, I agree that Boston is a better team here. 95 seems a little bit high. I know you're like you're the anti-Valiant.
It's
but
not very. I mean, this is why I'm anti-Valiant, is because they make me say good things about Boston. Boston is a top table team in the league right now. The Valiant are a decidedly middle table team. I don't care that they're X-2. I know who they played and who they beat and who they've lost to, and I've seen them play. I don't think they're at the top end of the league right now, and I do think Boston is there decidedly and belongs there with the way they're playing right now. Mistakes is fitting in really well. I think the Valiant should be outclassed here. I don't expect it to be a 4-0. I didn't pick it that way. Boston loves to keep it close, but they haven't lost yet this stage. I can't flip it any other way here. Until somebody beats them, and this is their Boston's first match of the week, so won't be this one.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't flip it. It just seems, I feel like more people would have faith in Valiant, but I'm definitely not one of them. Moving on, we've got Dallas Fuel versus New York Excelsior. Death, you've got New York 4-0 here. I've got my patented New York Excelsior 5-0. 99% of the fans are in favor of New York, and man, that seems low.
No effect, no maps. Next question.
Who is that 1%? It's probably Blazing Bob, just trying to throw.
It is Bob.
Almost certainly. It's
just
Bob
so
and A. Smith.
Screenshot it and send it to you if he wins. Yeah.
It's Bob and A. Smith for sure. Moving on, we've got Friday. We've got Los Angeles Gladiators versus Boston Uprising. Death, you've got Boston at 3-2. I've got the Cowards 3-0 for Boston. 84% of the fans are in favor of Boston, but you picked this one out as a relatively close one, so you took a look at the maps.
Yeah, if the fans weren't crazy on San Fran versus Florida earlier in the week, this would be my flip of the week. I'm picking Boston 3-2 here. I want to be clear. Everything I just said about Boston stands. I won't be betting on them or picking them to lose. But if you need to make up some ground, this is one where you have a serious opportunity to. When you look at the maps, we go to Volskaya. Boston's 9-0, so it doesn't really matter what the Gladiators are. You have to give this map to Boston. But the Gladiators are 6-2-1. So if there's a team that's going to be able to force a draw or steal the map and hand Boston their first loss here, this is one of your favorites to be able to do it. We go to Numbani, where Boston is 4-6 and the Gladiators are 3-6. This is effectively a push. I'm not going to worry about this one. I'm not even going to pick it. When we go to Nepal, we look, the Gladiators here are 7-1. Boston is 4-3. That's a decided advantage for the Gladiators. So now we're 1-1 and 1 in maps here. We go to Route 66. We've got Boston at 2-6, Gladiators at 4-5. This is a slight edge to the Gladiators. Could go either way. We'll kind of chalk it up, right? Numbani gets the slight edge for Boston. We'll give this is a slightly bigger edge on Route 66 to the Gladiators. So we get that one. That puts us into map 5. That's honestly pretty close too. Boston is 8-2. They've got the advantage here. That's why I'm picking them. But the Gladiators are 6-5. No slouches on Oasis. This one has serious map 5 potential. This is some serious upset potential here. And I think that was notably found by the fans, because Boston, being an undefeated team right now, going against a team that's in the middle of the pack, though I do think playing really, really well right now, is only at 84% to win. So I do think some of the fans are kind of recognizing this. So good on you guys for that. But if you need to make up ground, I would definitely flip this one. I very much so considered it for our league, where I do need to make up ground, but then not pick it that way in every other league where I'm not like beholden to my Monday selections, because I'm in first place in just about every other pick'em. But yeah, so this has been, this one's going to be really close. I'm really excited to watch it. I can't tell you how impressed I am with how the Gladiators are playing. I can't tell you that enough. I really think there's a very good chance here. But again, until Boston loses, I'm not going to pick it to happen. Like, there's something going on with them right now that's beyond logic and reasoning and anything like that. Even though the logic and reasoning is still slightly in their favor here, I could look at maps that were 3-1 in the Gladiators' favor, and I'd still pick Boston because of how the stage is played out. But yeah, this is serious potential to flip. So if you're behind, pick the Gladiators here. You got a chance.
Yeah, definitely a great strategic pick. And also, Gladiators is going to be fighting for their playoff spots here. So, a lot.
If they lose to Florida, I might flip it. Because of just how out of their mind they'll have to play. If it doesn't, like I said, we're suspending logic and reasoning here for this. I
think they're going to be playing out of their minds even if they win against Florida, because like that like secures it.
It does mean a big amount. Yeah, they control their own destiny. They want this win regardless of what happens in the end.
Yeah, for sure. But definitely could definitely be a good pick, especially because of that. And also, like, I feel like after watching the LA Valiant versus LA Gladiators match, and when it went to Oasis and Gladiators just ignored agilities on Farah, like they had to have watched that tape and been like, man, why did we lose that last map or that last stage on Oasis? Like, oh, because we literally didn't pick anyone who could damage agilities. He didn't die the entire stage, and he got 28 kills. Maybe we should change something about that. Like, I have to imagine that one of the coaches maybe picked up on that or read the strongly worded letter I wrote to them afterwards. I was like, hey guys, I see you guys are apparently looking for a coach. McCree counters Farah, idiots. Maybe that's why they didn't return my. Maybe that's why they didn't return my email. But let's move on. We've got New York. I'm gonna get like blacklisted from the LA Gladiators.
It's the episode title: McCree counters Farah, idiots.
No, that would have been a great episode title 2 weeks ago. But next up, we've got New York Excelsior versus Shanghai. This is an easy 5-0 for New York. Is there anything to talk about here?
I just want to make sure people don't try to enter a 5-0 into pick them here, because this is only going to be a 4-0 because that's how the league works. But it's a top meme. 4% of fans are really picking with their hearts. Shame on you. Shame. You must be so far back that there's no reason to even try to make up ground.
I mean, yeah, no, there's just no way that that's worth it. It's just, that is horrifically.
Like, New York doesn't even have a deep enough bench to throw hard enough to maybe lose this one. Like, it doesn't. They can bring in Animo. They can bring in Janice.
Janice playing Janice playing Tracer. I'm still picking New York on this one because that means Libero is still playing, like, at some capacity. Yeah. Like they could play Mystery Heroes and win. But let's move on. We've got London versus Seoul with some potential playoff implications here. You've got Seoul here 3-0. I've got London 3-0. 87% of the fans are in favor of London, and we'll bring out the coin here. But before the coin comes and makes its decision, 87 is high for London. Yeah. 87 is way high for London. Like, yes, Seoul has been on the downturn. They've been, air quotes, throwing, according to us. I just can't. I don't pick 87% for really anyone over Seoul, even New York.
Yeah, it's just really hard to, like, I don't want to pick either one of these teams, to be perfectly honest with you, because I don't, like, can I just pick both teams to lose? Because that's really what I'd like to do. This one's a little bit rough, and part of my decision making was just informed on the percentage on this one, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. It's a good flip. Yeah, I want to take the odds that the fans have given me with how they've picked this one so far. Yep. This one is very close to a coin flip. So why don't you flip it and see what the coin says?
We're going to go heads. We're going to go heads for Seoul here. Tails for London. Coin picks. Coin picks Seoul. Coin picked heads for Seoul.
Coin is brilliant because it agrees with me. So, yeah, listen. This one might hinge a little bit. Like, I might be wrong here if all of a sudden Bird Ring's back in time, or, you know what I mean, to play in this one. But even then, he wasn't playing well before he left. And for what it's worth, in all fairness, we did give a heavy dose of skepticism about his wrist injury, as we referred to it on the last episode. Given some of the conversation and talks coming out of the team, it looks more and more likely like there is some form of wrist injury. I don't feel bad about my skepticism because everything lined up for that to be true. Yeah. And they could have heard our, like, listen, I wouldn't even be surprised if they heard our podcast and let's go with a blitz. Let's talk about the personal trainer and all these things. And, they could have just went hard the opposite direction to put it to bed. If that was their game plan, kudos. But at the end of the day, it's just it could be why he was playing poorly, right? Like, it could have started to bother him and then they had to shut him down. So I'm willing to buy into it at this point. They've been doing a lot of talking about, they said he says he's ready to come back. We said, take your time, like, be 100% when you return. That kind of attitude, the way the stage is going for them, I think that's correct. And if that's their attitude, why would you bring him back for week 5 of a stage?
Right.
You need a literal miracle
right.
to be able to make it in.
Well, he
I
could
just don't
be
see
the miracle. He did.
Like, you just keep him shut down for one more week. I mean, they just need so much extra help. I get your point. Like, he can help them deliver their 2 wins.
Well, he's like the X factor in the playoffs, though.
If only he got to play in the matchups of Houston and the Gladiators and the Fusion,
Right.
and if he got to play in all those teams matchups, then he could make a difference. But they just need so much help. If I'm them and the wrist injury is perfectly legitimate and everything, and everything they're saying is true, I would just keep them down for another week. Like,
Right.
you're still fine in the season playoff standings. It's Seoul. They're going to play Guido probably like 50-50 going to play Guido anyways. So just roll with Hureg, who's actually played, better than I thought he would. I still don't think he gives them the upside that Birdring does. The maximum potential that they can achieve with Birdring isn't there with Hureg. But I do think, Hureg's been playing well and can go out there and get them this win. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Seoul. Like I said, I've got some ground to make up in our pick 'em, and the percentages are right to flip it.
Yeah, it's definitely a good strategy flip. But one that is not a good strategy flip here is the Saturday matchup: London versus Shanghai Dragons.
Hureg's just fine.
Yeah.
There is, I'll be honest, like, I picked the 3-0 here. Blevins is the 4-0. The fans took London 92%. If you didn't, perk your ears up a little bit and watching that last match of the week last week and realize Shanghai definitely, like, listen, we gave them such a hard time in their last matchup because it's New York, not because Shanghai is so bad. But they've still got some work to do. Ado is a beast. Fearless is playing really well. Gaguri's been playing really well. They're continuing to mesh together. The potential is here for this one. Again, don't pick it till it happens, but the potential's here. Like, this could be a potentially exciting watch. Which is good because it's in a day chock full of hype matches to follow.
Yeah, the next hype match, of course, is, again, huge playoff implications, potentially at least. Seoul Dynasty versus Houston Outlaws here. You've got Houston 3-0. I've got Seoul 3-0. 60% of the fans are in favor of Houston here.
Yeah, this one's going to be close. I do think Houston has Seoul's number a little bit. Seoul really hasn't figured out how they want to attack Houston. If we're to believe their coaching staff, that some of their roster decisions were tactical when they played against Houston in the past, then they're still very much so trying to figure Houston out. I think Jake is going to wait 5 full minutes to deliver the pulse bomb in the corner this week instead of the 3 minutes he waited last week. Awesome play. Check out it's in the top 10 plays. Just super, super patient play from Jake in that one, the one I'm referencing.
Yeah.
It was on Route 66, which does seem to be kind of out of the gutter for Houston as well. I think that really helps them in this matchup. The fact that we're not going into Route 66 now going, okay, they're going to lose. Like, it might not be in their favor, and that's part of the reason why it's a coward's 3-0 here is because that one is very up for grabs. But Houston, like I said, I really believe they're playing as good as they've played all season long. And the Tracer play is getting noticeably better each and every week. Like, the kind of rise that Fraggy made on Winston, if I'm being perfectly honest, throughout the season, we're seeing a faster rise in the Houston Tracer play lately, I think. So Houston is a team. I'm anybody in the league right now, I would be worried about playing them. Like, New York got super close with them. Philly can't not go to 5 against them. So every team has had their issues against Houston at times. And with how well they're playing right now, I can't pick Seoul to beat them. Seoul's struggling, still figuring everything out. I have no confidence in them whatsoever. And I'm gaining a lot of confidence in Houston as we move through the end of this stage.
Yeah, well, this, of course, is a disagreement from the hosts. So let's see what the coin has here.
We'll see if it's your last flip coin. Find out right now.
We'll give heads for Houston, tails for Seoul here. It is. Ooh, that is a tails for Seoul. The
dumbest coin in the world.
The coin likes Seoul this week.
Also, you knew what you were doing. Tails never fails, and that's why you gave it to Seoul. So this game was rigged. I'm calling in the integrity of the coin.
Yeah, the coin went head. Coin picked heads for Seoul last time. The coin just likes Seoul. Wait a second. Made in Korea. Oh!
All right. So we won't count the coin here.
We have a Korean coin.
But all things considered, I mean, I don't have confidence in Seoul, but when they show up and when they play well, they can compete with anybody in this league. So the 60% is about right to me.
Yeah.
It's got upset potential. It's got flip potential. You're not crazy if you go against either of us here.
Yeah. And we saved quite possibly the best for last here. Maybe the most playoff potential, and it's the last match here. And the fans have this one right down the line. We've got LA Valiant versus Philadelphia Fusion. We're both picking Philly here 3-0, but this is the first time I've seen this since the game started. Fans are in favor of Valiant 51% to 49%.
That's a literal coin flip. So flip the coin right now to see what the coin has to weigh in here.
What do we want? We'll do heads. We'll do heads for Valiant, tails for Philly.
There we go.
That is a tail for the Philadelphia Fusion.
Tails never fails. The coin is brilliant yet again. When it's just biased, and it's just biased in the Seoul matchup being made in Korea. Listen, I'm not confident in this one at all, and we all know what I think of the Valiant right now, but. I mean, old bad Philly is back again.
East Coast slump.
And
EQO's not popping off. I
should have never wrote these. Help you write these. But listen, I am very worried if I'm a Philadelphia Fusion fan right now, because now we're back to wondering, were they hot last stage? You know what I mean? Because they've been horribly inconsistent in stages 1 and 3 now, and only consistent in stage 2. We're heading into a big meta shift. I think the problems the Philadelphia Fusion are having right now are bigger than the stage playoffs. When you look at their situation right now, I think they're currently holding the 6th spot, but they're like 15 maps behind Houston, who's 1 match behind them. For the tiebreak. So if they end up in a tiebreak scenario with Houston, they're going to lose. It's going to be really hard to make up that advantage going into the final stage. So, I mean, it's certainly possible, but right now they need to get it figured out. They need to get it figured out fast. And when they're playing poorly, they almost lose to Shanghai. So the Valiant being a mid-table team right now, as I peg them, is more than enough to give them the opportunity. If Philly doesn't get it figured out, and if they look bad in their first match, flip it. We're wrong.
Yeah.
If they lose to Dallas, abort mission on this one.
Completely.
The saving grace here for Philly, the biggest thing going for them is they're the first match of the week and the last match of the week. So they get time to prepare for Dallas, go in there, get the win they're supposed to get, no matter how bad they play, and then reset, review maps, get everything figured out, and go into the Valiant match well rested and prepared.
Yeah, they do have a lot of prep advantage for sure. And also, like, Valiant is also going to be playing I already forgot who they're playing, Boston. So that, like, even though Philly, like, it's a huge playoff implication match, like, Valiant is theoretically not putting their focus, time, and effort initially on this match. It's going to be against Boston.
If this was in back-to-back days for the Philadelphia Fusion, I really think it's close enough. I would be picking the Valiant. I literally have it as the 3-0 for Philly because they have the extra day to prepare on the opponent. They get to sit down as a team and watch how Boston beats the Valiant and then go and try to practice it. There's no composition. There's no strategy. There's nothing that the Philadelphia Fusion as a team can't execute well. And one thing I want to note here, something I said on Foul Play, because Reddit and Discord talked me into thinking it was possible. I never really totally bought into it. Sato is not eligible to play this week, guys. Reddit wanted to go and say, well, he was suspended for 30 games, but they played 2 playoff games last stage. We've been calling them exhibition matches since stage 1 for a reason. They don't really count. So anybody in the future, suspensions don't cover the playoffs. That's not a thing. You get suspended for regular season matchups. And anybody who thinks that's wrong, you're out of your mind. So
here's the question, though. Could Sato have played in the playoff matches?
No. You're suspended until you've missed 30. Like, you're suspended for 30 regular season games. You can't play with your team until you serve your 30-game suspension.
Okay. So 30 regular season games have to have passed, and then you can do it, regardless of what's in the middle of that.
Yeah. And to be fair, like the people that thought that happened, you're not crazy for having thought it. A Philadelphia Fusion staff member came out and said it was true. So you're not crazy for having bought into it.
Right.
But it should have not made sense to you when you heard it. And
right.
you know what I mean? You should have been asking the question, but yeah, that's not how suspensions work. And in order to get it changed, I would think you'd literally need to file a lawsuit to get the Overwatch League to back down on that one.
Yeah,
because leagues don't let teams dictate the terms of their punishments on players. That can't be how it works. I don't care if it's my team. I don't care whose team it is.
Right.
The team does not get to dictate the terms of the punishments handed down by the league.
Right.
They get to dictate them when they suspend EQO for 3 games to make sure he's back for their matchup against London or whatever.
Right.
But they don't get to do it when the league suspends them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just inherently. It'd make no sense. Or it would just be wildly corrupt if that's how it worked. But that brings us right to the end of the show. Boy, oh boy, is this going to be an exciting week for Overwatch League. Lots of playoff implications. The possibility of a super draw or a super tie. Man, there are a lot of, like, regardless of who your favorite team is here, there's a lot of matches to watch intently and root for a potential underdog or upset. It's going to be really boring if, like, oh, well, all the winning in teams
LA
just win.
teams made it.
But even if that's the case, then the playoffs are going to be quite nice too, with the 2 LA teams, Boston and New York. That would be the coasts dominating.
Yeah, but honestly, even then, it should still be an exciting week, even if that happens.
Yeah.
Because assuming the Valiant do lose to Boston, we're going into the last match to decide if the Valiant go 2-0. So it's
Right.
going to take until the end to give us the boring result, which will still have you on the edge of your seat throughout all 4 or 5 maps, however
Right.
long Valiant versus Philly goes. So even if the quote-unquote boring result happens, you're still going to be in for a really exciting week. But I will say this, if Houston doesn't make it, we better get a super tie.
I hope we just get a super tie no matter what. Like, I just want the super tie.
I hope we're wrong and there's a super tie scenario out there for Houston, and they're in the super tie and they win the super tie match.
Houston not play this
Yeah,
week?
the Shanghai Dragons, so it's not going to happen.
Yikes!
I hope they don't leave the
What
week
about
tied
Seoul?
with Shanghai.
Hold on,
on
who
the
did
stage.
Who did Seoul not play this week?
I have no idea, but Seoul and Houston don't play next stage. I know that.
Yeah, I don't know who it is either, but we'll just have to wait and see. It's nothing we can do. Knowing it or not knowing it now doesn't change what the case is. But that's gonna bring us to the end. Death. I think we have iTunes reviews.
Yeah, we have an iTunes review for Around the Payload.
Nice.
We're reading those ones this week. This is a 5-star from Jester OW. Big, I believe he was in the game night this past weekend.
so.
He's been in Discord. He plays a little Sea of Thieves. I think I played with him one time there.
Nice.
So definitely a fan of the show and a friend of the show. 5 stars for him. I can't wait to get the new episode in my podcast feed every week. A fantastic host, debatable, surrounded by amazing guests each and every week. Not debatable. Pro tip, pander to Blevins' love for NYXL, and you get the win.
Whoa,
love
whoa, whoa.
the show.
Not
That's
always.
a scientific fact. That is a scientific
The Pander
Who's
Bear
the
does
best
not.
DPS player on the New York Excelsior? What was your correct answer? It was Jonak.
It
I
was
rest my case.
that is true.
It may have been the right answer, but it was still definitely your fandom weighed in a little bit. I think hard not to be a fan of Jonak. Like, even if I hated New York, like if Jonak played for Boston, I would still have. It's like the Note effect. Like, I want to root for Notes so bad. Note sign anywhere else, and I will buy your jersey. I can't do it. But no, even in that scenario, you still just have to respect what Jonak's doing. So it makes sense.
For sure. But that is going to bring us to the end of the show. Thanks everyone for watching. We had a nice little. You got to show up for the pre-shows because they're getting lively. We
had a lot of fun going through those playoff matches. I definitely recommend hanging out for the live show or the pre-show when you can.
Yeah, the pre-show, of course, is over at twitch.tv/High Noon Podcast. And you can always check us out there. Throw it a follow, and you'll know when we go live. All the shows we record live on Twitch, and then, of course, to go out into podcast land and YouTube feeds, et cetera, et cetera. That's going to bring us right to the end, guys. If you're still listening around here, you heard at the beginning of the show, we had our episode sponsor, KingsRoadTimes.com. You can definitely check them out. And if you guys, if you are part of an organization or a product or something like that, that you think you would benefit from having a spot on the show, definitely reach out to us. Email us at highnoonpodcast@gmail.com. And you can check out all the content and stuff for all of the shows that we do over at highnoonpodcast.com. And I think that's just about it for all the shout outs. Any last words, Death?
No, that's it. Really appreciate it. Go Outlaws, and boo everybody that's in their way.
Yeah, boo anyone who prevents the super tie is basically
except for Houston.
Nope, boo them too if they prevent the super tie.
How dare you, sir?
What?
You and the coin. I'm not speaking to you or the coin for at least 10 minutes.
Well, that's good because that is going to be the end of the show, guys. Remember to check out highnoonpodcast.com to find all that good stuff there. And also, remember, it's high noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. He threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world one bullet at a time till I find mine.
Super tie, super tie, super tie, super tie.